All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is for you. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our Women and Girls Task Force. We are recording this live and we'll be sharing it with all of you. Who is the Women and Girls Task Force? Well, first of all, there's me. Hi, I'm Janice Kugel. I am the sport participation lead at Sport Nova Scotia. Our Women and Girls Task Force has been doing a lot of work recently, and we've actually divided ourselves into a few sub-teams. Today, you're going to meet the leadership sub-team and the coaching sub-team. First up, Alana Lieberman, the safe sport lead at Sport Nova Scotia. We also have Barb Hamilton Hinch, assistant professor of health and human science at Dalhousie University, and Anne Dodge, Acadia University kinesiology faculty member. Unfortunately, Sarah McNeil's unable to join us tonight, but Sarah is with Canadian Sports Centre Atlantic. And last but certainly not least, we have Tasia McKenna, Technical Director and Performance Coach for Basketball Nova Scotia and Sport and Recreation Inclusion Lead with the YWCA. Tasia is also a member of our coaching sub-team, and she is joined on that sub-team by Danielle Poulos, Coaching Enhancement and Mental Performance Consultant with the Canadian Sports Centre Atlantic, Natasha Burgess-Johnson, Coaching and Technical Leadership Consultant with the CSCA. Amanda Thompson, Provincial Coach and VP Administration of the Nova Scotia Weightlifting Association. Kirsty Mason, Community Coaching Lead, the CSCA. And last but certainly not least, Megan Conroy, Technical Director of Volleyball Nova Scotia. I bet you're all wondering why you're here. I'm going to hand it over to Anne, who's going to give us a bit of a background and some information on the why. Anne?
Place to start is acknowledge the current situation. We know that there are fewer girls participating in sport, but we do quite well when we consider those numbers. Headway has been made, but those females who do participate, they drop out earlier, and they often don't return after they do drop out. Progress has been made, and we have to acknowledge that with participant numbers, and those numbers are closer to males, but not when considering those who fill coaching positions, nor those who take on leadership roles, or board members, or officials. We also have a lot to do when intersectionality is considered, with our Black and Indigenous communities, ethno-cultural communities, for those with disabilities, for LGBTQ+ community members, and all too often sport is cost prohibitive for those who want to participate. All females should have an opportunity to be involved and feel welcomed. Parity has not been achieved. There's so much data to reinforce this. 1 in 10 girls enroll in high school physical education class. At the national level, 39% of registered competitors at the NSOs are female. Here in the Valley region of Nova Scotia, 45% of community sport organizations have female representation in the ranks, and that's great. But at the national level, that number drops to 26%. We are sliding backwards in some areas. This seems to be a rather fitting point, since from the national data, we know that the number of female coaches at the CIS level has decreased since 2011. Why does gender equity matter? Why should young females of all ages, not receive the same benefits that activity provides? So much comes through participation: health, friendship, travel, scholarships, life lessons of hard work, perseverance, pride, accountability, leadership opportunities. The list is long. So yes, it's important for everyone to have an equal opportunity to realize these amazing benefits of sport involvement. So moving forward, there's much to be done. A lot has changed, and we have to acknowledge that. Progress has been made, but sitting back and celebrating those milestones gets us nowhere. For change to happen, the need must be acknowledged by those who make the decisions, those who are at the table. What better time for Nova Scotia to invest the time and effort in making the changes that will ensure gender equity for all of our residents?
Great. Thank you so much, Anne. So that's why we've created this task force with a vision to increase the programs and services targeted to women and girls in sport. The Women and Girls Task Force has been exploring the barriers associated with participation in sport. Our group will explore scalable programs that are going to remove the barriers and the associated opportunities to implement implement them. Our task force will also work to assist in the creation of an action plan that's in alignment with provincial priorities in relation to the representation of women and girls in sport. How will we achieve these objectives? By research of policies and best practices in relation to increasing participation of women and girls in sport, by a compilation of information regarding major barriers for the participation, by completion of a scan of PSOs with directed strategic programs and any outcomes as they relate to women and girls, and by an exploration of program opportunities that could be presented to all of our provincial sport organizations and our community sport organizations with scalable options. All of this, of course, with a Nova Scotia lens. I'm going to hand it over to Barb, who's going to talk a little bit about what we've learned so far in the leadership realm.
Thank you so much, Janice. Absolutely excited to have been part of this process that we've gone through, especially examining the involvement of many women on boards. We had the opportunity to interview 14 women. These women were part of community boards as well as national boards. These women were some of the leaders in sport around this province. And there were so many things that they shared with us. Some of the points that we'd like to share with you that some of them recognize we have made headway, but there's still work to do. In some cases, these women sat on these boards for a number of years, but only saw 1 or 2 members join their boards. In some cases, they had to put in place mandates that required the board to have women on them. We need this to change. The women were always led with an equity lens. They always acknowledged the difference between males and females sitting on boards, gender equity, diversity, persons with disabilities, LGBTQ communities, you name it. They definitely made a difference in being present on the boards. They also recognized that in some cases, the old boys network was still alive and well. But they had to learn how to navigate that system, and they did it excellently, but not without its own challenges. They recognized that because they were sometimes the only woman on the board or one of 2 on the board, that they were often doing more teaching. And they would like to continue to do that, but with less fighting for change. They want all members to see the importance of having women represented on their boards, and women that come from diverse backgrounds, women that come from the African Nova Scotian community, women that come from the Indigenous community, women that come from the BIPOC community, women that come from our LGBTQ plus community. We need to see this diversity in order to represent the province of Nova Scotia. Some of the women who sat on the board and shared their thoughts with us. One person said, I felt like I was building a plane while flying it, always trying to get ahead and be on top of what was happening within the board structure that she was part of. Another one acknowledged the fact that boards are afraid of change in recruiting new people. We need to change that. Many of the women that were involved in the boards were there because they were recruited personally, or because their children were involved in a sport, or because they felt an obligation because they were an elite athlete in that sport and wanted to see change. Another one indicated you have to be the change. I will feel bad if I left the board and things didn't go through that I want to see happen. We've started some work and they want to see it continue. Some advocated for some of the changes to happen, and they didn't feel that they could leave the board unless those changes happened. They recognized that people were listening to them because of the leadership role that they held. We need to make sure that just change continues to happen. And we hope that you join us as we work towards making these changes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Barb. I'm going to hand it over to Danielle, who's going to talk a little bit on the coaching side of things and what we've learned so far.
Yes, thanks again, Janice. We did a survey over the summer, and we had such an amazing response from our coaches across the province. We had 93 people take part in our survey, and they represented approximately 32 different sports and a wide range of ages from 19 to 64 years old. What we learned from them was why they got involved in coaching. And what we heard was that the top 3 reasons was 1, for the love, for the need. So oftentimes they got in to help coach their son or daughter or a team at school. and then to give back to their community or to give back to their sport. The goals for which they did partake, or that they are continuing to take part in coaching, was to inspire, to build, and to develop humans, to be able to coach at a higher level, and mostly to help others, to help them have a safe place, to help them enjoy and have fun, and to help others really achieve their goals. What we heard approximately for their barriers was that oftentimes there was an assumed lack of knowledge or capability, that others saw them as less knowledgeable or less capable in comparison to their male counterparts, that sometimes they were actually not included by their male counterparts in conversations, when approached by others, when approached by parents. Sometimes this was seen as a hobby, and so they weren't able to maintain their commitment, versus a paid employment. So they had other priorities that they had to prioritize. And lastly, we had some people feel that there were no barriers whatsoever. So no perceived barriers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Danielle. What's our next step? What are we going to do with some of this information that we've collected? Well, that's what we're here to tell you about today. We have some really exciting opportunities, and I'm going to ask Natasha and Alana to share some of those with us.
From a leadership perspective, we're starting on January 13th with a panel or discussion, leading with confidence and having difficult conversations.
Then on January 26th, we have an exciting session for the coaches again with strong female leadership.
In February, I will be presenting with some other people on safe sport and inclusion from a board perspective.
Then February 24th, we're going to hear about life balance. So what's it like coaching with children, coaching without children, coaching with a family, and how do you make all of it work?
Thank you. And again, in March, we're going to have understanding the sports system and board basics. It should be exciting.
Then on March 24th, we're going to have athlete to coach transition. So we have some high profile athletes who have gone into coaching, speaking about what their story was and hopefully able to help you assist more athletes in doing so.
And in April, on April 14th, we have gender diversity and inclusion and why does it matter? Really important discussion.
Then we're going to pause on the coaching sessions for April, which is our historically our Atlanta Coaching Conference. So wait for more information on that as it comes out.
And as you can see, on May 12th, we have a flex session where we hope to, over the next few months, compile some requests, information, and get your feedback and see what we can bring to you in May.
We're going to end this year's exciting coach series in May with a session on May 25th on the intersectionality in sport.
And lastly, in June, June 11th, 12th, or 18th and 19th, it is our hope to have a conference, hopefully in person, on mentorship and diversity. So stay tuned for that.
Great. Thank you so much, Alana and Natasha. The big question now is what's in it for you? Why do you, as a coach or a leader, a female in sport, want to participate in this? Well, number one, it's community. These sessions are going to connect you to other women who are involved in sport at all levels. It's a community. We can build that community by coming together. Second, learning. We're going to learn things. We're going to learn more about our sport system. We're going to learn more about how to navigate it. And we're going to hear that from some of the most inspirational women who've come up through it. We're going to learn from their challenges, from their struggles, but also from their successes. A portion of each of our sessions is going to be networking. We're going to leave time at the end or at the beginning of each of our sessions to make sure that you have the opportunity to connect to other women in your realm. Maybe not necessarily in your sport, but other women who are involved in sport. We have 54 recognized provincial sport organizations here in Nova Scotia, and we learn best when we learn from others who are doing the things that we're doing. And last but certainly not least, swag. Who doesn't love free stuff? Well, just for participating, you'll get the opportunity for gift card draws. You'll get the opportunity to get masks, notebooks, coaching books, and maybe some extra special treats along the way. Last but not least, we also want to get some feedback from you. What do you want to see? What's important to you? As Alana said, we've built in a flex session in May for the leadership area, and we have the opportunity to give more sessions throughout if we need it, or tailor sessions specific to your group. For that, I ask that you email jkugel@sportnovascotia.ca. That's me. I can answer your questions. I can point you in the right direction, and I can help you out. I want to thank you all for your time and being here today. I want to say a big, huge thank you to my Women and Girls Task Force group who have all taken the chance to be here tonight. There is another task force group who you'll see a few other faces on the call that you may not have met yet. And they have big, exciting things planned and coming up soon as well. But I just want to say a big, huge thank you to all of them and a big, huge thank you to all of you. You are doing wonderful, amazing things in the realm of coaching and leadership in sport here in Nova Scotia. And we can really move things forward and we can really make things better for everyone else. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time of day it is that you're watching this. Have a great day.